All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Sean Harvey here and Julia Patterson with this episode of Success with Dynamic Duo. We have Sean from the East Coast. He's going to share some golden nuggets with us. We want to share with you on this episode that you're not alone. There is people out there that struggle, that juggle, that do all those things with a full-time job, have a family, and they've taken the entrepreneurial journey to do something better in their lives for their families. So I want you to sit back, relax, take some notes, grab a notepad, and just think for a moment, you're not alone. We struggle. I'll give you my quick little synopsis. I drove a transport truck for 26 years. I had to juggle a job, two young kids at the time, spend some time with them, personal time for myself. There was no personal time. I was working for the man just to pay the bills. I wanted something better for my life. And I found it in my entrepreneurial journey. And I want to say this to you. If you want to change your life and take it to a whole new level, sit back, relax, take notes, because you're not alone when it comes to this juggling a job and a family. Please help me welcome Julia Patterson and Sean. Go ahead, Julia.
So I'm going to be the lucky gal that gets to introduce Sean today, but a little bit of my story. I'm married to a veteran, and so entrepreneurial spirit, I worked a job, and I was trying to do things from home. My husband was away a lot, 2 UN tours, so 6 months at a time. I think I calculated out the first 18 months we were married, he was gone. I think it was 9 or 10 of those months. So, and it was just not fun, right? So I understand the juggling, right? Our guest, Shaun Boynton, he understands it too. He's been marketing offline and online since 2009. Prior to that, he invested in real estate for 5 years, where he owned multifamily properties and worked on rehabbing and flipping houses. I admire him for that because I know that's a lot of work. All this while working full-time as a client services manager in the financial industry since 1998. He's always had an entrepreneurial spirit as he grew up working with his parents in their hardware store. He went on to study marketing and advertising at Temple University in Philadelphia. For the past 6 years, all of what he's doing has included the introduction to the multi-level marketing industry and direct selling, as well as many different online opportunities. He works in those businesses full-time, and it's very time-consuming for him, as he is married, and he and his wife are raising 2 young boys at the same time. But online marketing is a passion of his. He lives in Massachusetts with his wife Maggie and boys Jacob, 12, and Lucas, 9. He's had some breakthroughs over the years that have changed his perspective and his understanding of what it takes to be successful at his online business. Sean currently has consistent 5-figure months online, and we're very pleased to have him join us today so he can share his story and his journey with us. And it sounds like it's been a really interesting one, Sean. So if you could kind of share with us what some of your aha moments were. I mean, coming from an entrepreneurial background, I grew up on a farm, so I know that feeling, right? Wanting to control your time. But what was it that drew you to the online world? What was it that made you want to do something different?
Yeah, thanks, Julia and Sean for having me on today. First of all, I kind of want to kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that you've already mentioned in my bio, and really kind of go over what's kind of changed in my life. So obviously I have a lot of things going on in my life. Spent a lot of time in different areas of profession. Had a strict job, or was 15 years in the financial industry, along with looking to do other entrepreneurial things. So a lot of things have happened to me really from the very beginning, and I'll just kind of back up for a moment. From the very beginning, when my parents had their hardware store, remember, I grew up with my parents owning a hardware store. I worked for them. Mm-hmm. So they were already kind of entrepreneurial. Sure, it was a storefront, but it still had a different flair. It wasn't like both my mom and dad were going off to work and I was going to school and they came home and I saw them later. I actually worked with them probably from the ages of like 15, 16 on, before I went to college. So a lot of my mind was like, well, I'm understanding, time for money already as we kind of get closer and closer into my, past college, that type of thing. And from my parents, it was like they really wanted me to, they still thought of, go to school, get a good job, you'll be doing great, get a great, job and you'll be fine, raising a family and all of that. Well, in my head, I had really large aspirations. I really wanted to become, successful. I want to have, all the good things people want to have in their life, materialistic, and also the love and all the other things that goes along with it, a great wife, family, and all of that. But I also needed to find a vehicle that was going to get me there. And I think what really changed my mind on how a job was going to do it for me alone was when I got involved in real estate, because real estate's very, it brings you to a point where you understand that there's high value out there. I was getting involved in a group that was looking for multifamily properties. I also was doing rehabbing on some select homes that I would find in the local area. And remind you, this is still while I have a full-time job, so I could be doing this on the weekends, that type of thing. So it really has been nonstop for me since I kind of got out of college. Because my drive and aspirations pretty large, and I really want to get to a point. At that point, I want to get to a point where I can say, "Hey, things start to look good. I'm becoming more successful." And I knew at that point it wasn't going to happen just with a job. So these are a lot of things that I've been juggling and all that. So I went through real estate, had some really good times at that point, and the market fluctuated a lot. I think it was from the year 2004. Up to like 2006, 2007 is where we really had a high moment in real estate.
Yep.
It was obviously across the nation, and a lot of people were affected by that. So I took advantage of it. I saw an opportunity. I actually enjoyed it. I went to a lot of real estate investor clubs. I did all of this stuff, me and my wife at times. So she was really supportive, and that's really important to have a spouse that's supportive. So I think that, as we kind of move forward in our life, whatever you get involved with, try to do it in a way that's going to help bring you both together and see the bigger picture. So that really was the point, Julia, that made me feel that things have to move forward outside of having a regular job.
Awesome. So what was the moment that you really started to, you got into online marketing? You know that the job is not going to do it for you. Did you have an actual defining moment during that time, or was it just that you came to the realization slowly for you?
So I got involved in 2009 with network marketing, and that was exposed to me through actually someone in our real estate investors club. So really at that point, I knew a lot of the big names, but I never really, took part in any of those type of things at the time because I was involved in real estate. But since I had some colleagues in the real estate business that had started getting more involved into it, I said, I'm good friends with them. It was good referral business, and I'll take a look at this thing. So that was 2009. And then I got involved in this one company that did pretty well. I was starting to build a team. And I think when you start to build a team in a network marketing company, that's a kind of defining moment because you're kind of like the leader and the mentor to the folks that come into your organization.
Absolutely.
What a lot of people don't realize in any kind of online, marketing type of business, that you need to have the support of others in your team, and you need to be very coerced. So the defining point for me was when I got to a point where I had 100 people under me in one of my network marketing businesses. And I looked at that as, well, they're going to need my support. I'm going to be having, I had weekly calls. We got on Hangouts, things like that. And it was really about helping each other get to that next level. I was happy about where I was at that point, but it was more about how I could help others in my team kind of see the same success that I was seeing. And really to do that, you've got to collectively bring them all together, whether it's on a conference call, whether it's on a hangout, at least let them know that we're trying to provide the best support we possibly can and how they can grow their business to a point that is starting to make them, feel better about what they're doing and making that income they're looking for.
So what I hear you saying is that you were already on the path to personal growth and development because you were learning to be a leader and realizing the importance of a team and the support of a team. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's very much correct. Without having that support, you're not gonna. You can't do it alone. Not in that type of business.
Right. Okay. And that's why they call it network marketing, right? Because you're working with a network, right? And it's not just the people that you know out there, but it's your group. Like that's the whole thing. Like so many people try and be the Lone Ranger, right? And it just doesn't work with something like that. But even when you're not connected in, like even with online marketing, for example, and I know that you probably have experienced the same thing I have, is we've developed, like Shaun and I have developed a partnership, but we're in groups that, like we provide support to each other. Like I love the weekly hangouts that we have and stuff on the one program that we're all in. It's just amazing to me. And I just love that because I know I can go to anybody and ask a question, and the leaders that we have are just amazing too, right? We're all becoming leaders, or we are leaders, but so when you think about that, but do you have any specific things that you do on a daily basis, like that keeps your energy up, that keeps your motivation and your mindset high? Like what do you do?
Yeah, sure. That's a great point, because I think a lot of people get involved in these businesses and they're not sure the direction to take. They're not sure really the laid out things that you need to do to start to see some, leads, prospect sales, things that you really need in this kind of industry. And very early on in a lot of my businesses, I basically looked at what's called a DMO, a daily method of operation.
Okay.
And you really need to have this in place in order to really start to see success, because it's about the consistency in your business that's going to lead you to the next level. So a lot of the things that I've done, and it all really depend. Early on in my network marketing industry, things have changed, right? Back in 2009, I was picking up the phone a lot. I was in network marketing. I was doing lots of cold calling. I was doing lots of, newspaper, I don't want to say newspaper ads, but like ads maybe online, in magazines, whatever it may be at the time, to help get a better exposure on my business. But things have changed over this time, because we've gotten more into a social media atmosphere.
Right.
So some of the things that have aligned with me on a daily, operation would be just have a goal for that day or that week. Do I want to talk to 10 people a day? Do I want to try to at least get 2 to 3 sales in a week? How am I going to do that? I have to back into that on how we're going to get to that kind of sales per week. And really it comes down to kind of numbers. This business it seems very outward, but it's very much about understanding what is it going to take to get progression and sales and prospects, things like that, coming, knocking on your door. So what I would normally use is, so I've actually got a form that I've got filled out that kind of goes over. So a lot of the stuff I do now is either Facebook related, Instagram related, things like that, where I can get a lot better exposure. And also there's other kinds of traffic that you can acquire, right? That can help, motivate people and get people to look more at what your offer is. So I would work a lot in Facebook. I have my own Facebook page outside of my personal page.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of promoting there. I do a lot of promoting on Instagram that can flow over to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different ways within Facebook we can advertise, right? I read books probably at least once a month. I've actually got a few books now that I'm actually looking at. One that you guys probably should all read first is, I don't know if you can see this all backwards, but it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Right? There's the cash profit. So,
I've read that one about 3 times already. So that's actually, this is the thing I do 15 to 30 minutes a day is read.
Perfect.
Because it helps here, right? And yeah, because if we're not doing our own personal development, and honestly, when we talk about being a leader, I used to think I needed to be, 50 steps ahead of everybody that's following me, right? But now I realize all I have to do is be a few steps ahead, and I can still lead them because I'm still teaching them, right? And so, And we don't sit, you probably don't do it, and Shaun doesn't do it either, but we've got all this information that we've already acquired through our personal development, our experiences, right? And so we want to teach people, but we don't spew it all out like, oh, I'm reading this book, blah, 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 blah. We don't go on and on, right? So, I mean, that's sort of like, do you have habits to keep so reading is obviously one thing you do, right?
Right.
Do you do affirmations? Do you have your yearly goals set? Do you have a vision and purpose for your life? What's your why? Like that's the kind of thing that I think a lot of people don't see how important it is to have that big picture, or they may know where they're going as far as what their dream is, but they don't actually have a path. So any road will do then, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, does your why make you cry? I mean, we've heard that line before, right?
Exactly.
And that really is true. I think a lot of things I've learned over the years, and when you're new in the industry, you're very money driven, you're whatever it takes to get there, but you don't really have the knowledge to go down that path, because online marketing, it requires lots of navigation. And what I've come to find out is you have to have a mental ability to be able to be tactful and look at things in a way you need to actually, a lot of it's reading the books, understanding what people are doing, and following other leaders who are where you want to be.
Right. The mentors. Yeah.
Mentors. Yeah. So a lot of people don't always take advantage of that. Here's a prime example. So I go to a lot of events for my businesses. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, like, we have an event coming up, right? And a few of our businesses. So, but I think that, some people will say, yeah, I just can't do that. I don't know if I can go to that. I'm not there yet. They may not put themselves in a position or get uncomfortable like they need to get to these kind of things. Reason why it's important to become, to get out of your way and to go to these events is so that you can network with people that have already been there. Talk to see what they're doing. Make connections. One thing that I never really understood at all is connections change your entire world, right? If you talk to the right people, if you have a good karma with them, if you get to know them more, even if there's someone that's really high up in the industry, get out, you just got to go up to them and say hello. You got to talk to them. You use your camera, get some selfie shots, get some video with them. But most importantly, go to the after party or go out for some drinks with them. Go to dinner with them later. Because at that point is where, and I'm being very serious, that point is where you're going to start to get more information about what it really takes to get to the next level, because a lot of people struggle really at the bottom. So I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I'm just thinking about what one of our leaders said about the upcoming event. Buy me drinks and I'll tell you anything. Right?
Yeah, I know that one.
Really real, right?
Can I say something to that event? Compliment that. I in the beginning, much like many of the viewers out there and potentially Shaun and Julia as well, I never really seen the big picture of why it was a big event. Why? Because I was focusing on, oh my God, it's $2,000 to get there, flights, this, that, and the other thing. I got to feed myself. I'm going to have to take 3-4 days off of work. How my bill's going to get paid. All this crazy thoughts. And then when I went to a big event, and he says, you only have to make that decision once in your life to never miss a big event. When a big event comes up, it gets registered, boom, you're there because you've already made that decision. I got to say this, guys, viewers watching, Shaun and Julia, it has changed my life and my perspective on business altogether. Why? Because it's not the same when you're not there. You're going to have some relationships. You're going to have a couple of drinks. You're going to be cool, calm, and collective. Your mind is going to be so open, and you will absorb like a little baby, like a sponge, and you will learn on how to take your business to a whole new level. So I thanks for bringing that up, Shaun and Julia. That was like my aha moment when I went to a big event. I was like, I'm not going to a big event. And I fought it for a long time. And finally, when I made that decision, I'm like, what have I got to lose? I need a couple days off anyways because I work 100 hours a week. So, hey, it's a good 4 days off. And it was like, wow. The people that I met like probably 250 people from different states, different parts of the world. And it has blossomed into what it is today. I have pretty much everybody, at least 2 or 3 people in every state in the United States that I could call up in a moment's notice and say, hey, Shaun, I'm coming to your area. Let's go for dinner. I'm taking you, your beautiful wife, and your two boys out, and we're going for dinner. And you'd be like, okay, let's go. When are you coming in? That's the kind of relationships that is so awesome that if I hadn't went to a big event, I wouldn't have those relationships.
And that brings me to another point too, because Shaun, you were talking about when you first start a business, it's all about the money. And this whole conversation is about the money, right? But what would you, I mean, I've went to big events too, but I'd like to hear each of your perspectives on what's your return on investment when you go to that big event. What's the bottom line that, I mean, I'm not asking for exact figures, but what would be your best guess percentage-wise that your business increased once you went to those big events?
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of people feel, I'm going to put all this money out of pocket. I'm going to take an plane to this event. What am I going to get out of this in the end? Is it really worth it? And they start to like shuffle that in their head.
Yep.
Been to really good events before. Recently been to one of the better events. But I think the best thing you can get out of this is to be able to create those relationships and really forge through, like Shaun was saying about being able to connect with them on a higher level. Mm-hmm. The return that we're talking about getting back on this kind of event, at least 10 times, if not more, you're going to get back on this, because it's not about just going to the event, talking to people, taking pictures and all about that. Mm-hmm. It's taking what you've learned and putting it to action. Because I can't tell you how many times, and I was guilty of this early on in the industry. I was like, oh, that was a great event. It was almost like a party. We're having a great time. We come back home and like, well, I learned some things, but let me just get back to what I was doing. No, you've really got to take some really critical things that you've learned. Make sure you either take really good notes, or a lot of times these new events, they provide you some feedback notes and things that you can kind of refer to. Mm-hmm. But I would take action right away within the first few days of coming home. Already line up people, start lining up things that you want to do. Maybe you need to take your business in a little bit different direction as far as how you want to market it. Most importantly, though, follow the people that, if you saw people up on stage, you heard their story, you hear what they're doing, because a lot of times at these businesses, sometimes everyone has a little bit of flair of how they got to where they are, right? So you need to pick up some of these gold nuggets from each and everybody, but make something of your own of it. You know what I mean? You got to really take a lot of the things that you've learned and make it your own and go to work. Take action right away, and then just, and then have that daily method of operation in place. It's about the consistency really in the end, and the ability to take action.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I'll give you my take on that. When you're on the plane, here, I'll back that up for a second. Most people think, hey, and coming from the ex-financial advising addict that I was, I love saving people money. If you're in a business and you don't know all the strategies on why it's in your best interest tax-wise for Uncle Sam in the United States, Auntie Sue in Canada, which is the IRS and the Canadian government, just for those of you that don't know, it's in your financial best interest to do your business. So those events, the registration is a tax deduction, the airfare, the hotel, the food, the beverages, the excursions that you go on, that's all a tax write-off. Why? Because you're a PR person in a marketing business. Mm-hmm. So there's ways around tax deductions legally and legitimately. I'm going to say this. I've always made it a point, very, very strong, on the airplane, traveling to that big event. A mentor shared with me, Shaun, you got to tell yourself, and you got to make some notes on your notepad on the plane, whether it's in between reading your book or whatever. What am I wanting to get out of this big event? How can I take my life to a whole new level? How many relationships am I going to forge in this 3-4 day excursion? How many new relationships am I going to build? And we had this, we did this as not as a joke, but as an ask for people that were going to the event, make it a goal to meet 25 brand new people that you've never talked to in your life. Introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Shaun from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Where are you from? I'm Shaun from the East Coast. You know, we exchange names and phone numbers so that you guys can help each other when you're going through challenges in your life. And I promise you, your life's never going to be the same. By the time you go to 3-4 events, you got a list of probably 200 to 400 people that you've connected with. Because you start off with 25, and then next thing you know, you got 50, 100. You got 100 brand new contacts and phone numbers. Hey, Shaun, how's it going? How's life treating you? Hey, man, wasn't that event so awesome? And once I did that, I compiled a business cards of 1,000 business cards that I can go to in my shoebox and just pick them out. Now, I don't know if their contact numbers are still the same or whatever, and that's fine. But I did that. I was like, man, this is awesome. So the people that I've got relationships with now, it's like, oh my God. And I made that a decision to go, I'm going to go and learn one thing, how to take my business to a whole new level, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of where I'm at now. And that's been, I think, the biggest takeaway for me is I made a decision to go, never miss a big event. I only had to do it once. And then when I go to that event, make a decision that I need to learn 1 or 2 things that are going to help me change my life and my business.
So I'm going to summarize what I heard you guys say. First of all, Shaun, you're saying set an intention for that convention or whatever you're going to the event, right?
Yep.
So Shaun, other Shaun, you're saying that your business, you saw about a 10% ROI, basically 10x, right? So, but what I hear you saying, digesting it down, is that it's not just going there. It expanded your mind, right? Expanded your vision probably with all the things you learned. And both of you, with the connections you made, now you've got somebody that I actually recently heard somebody say that when we have challenges, we call it a universal challenge line, a UCL. I thought that was awesome because we all run into them, right? So now you've got people, 100 people, 1,000 people that you could call up and say, hey, I just hit a UCL. This is what's going on. What did you do? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sort of summarize what you guys, because I mean, I'm sitting here listening to you guys and I know my own experiences and I've experienced similar things when I went to large events as well. So I think we've kind of gotten on that, events thing because we know it's on our minds, right? But I think it's really important to understand for our audience what it takes to go from where we are with all these weeds in our head to where we want to go. And having that big picture is obviously the first thing, but what does it take to get from point A to point B? That's what we're trying to help people with, right?
Yeah.
So,
anyway. And I think, Julia, to complement that, lots of people, including myself in the past, have forgotten about where they want to go because they're so ingrained in their 9-to-5 jobs that they just kind of exist and they walk around like zombies.
Yes.
Because, they work the 9-to-5s. They get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They take the kids to daycare. Daycare takes them to school. They rush. They're in the rush hour traffic in before kids go to school and after school. And it's like Robert Kiyosaki says, it's a freaking rat race. How could you focus on the future if you're stuck just cemented in the now? Yeah. Because of the jobs that I used to have and the jobs that people have now, it's hard for them to focus on that dream machine because they've been beaten down by life, their jobs. I mean, why would you go to a job that you hate for 25 years? It just blows my mind. And that's where so many people are in that. And we need to say, okay, stop for a moment. Stop everything you're doing. You need to have an emergency meeting. You need to find out what your why is again. Regroup with mama and the kids and sell them on the idea of what life's going to look like when you're an entrepreneur versus an employee and how we can play our day any way we want, provided dad or mom has to do what they have to do in their day. And I think that that's very important. And a lot of people lose ground on that. So if we can regroup, have that family emergency meeting, This is what we want to do. We want to travel. We want to take those vacations, take the kids to Disney World or Disneyland, go on that anniversary trip that we've always wanted to go on for our 25th wedding anniversary, all of those things, and say enough's enough, move forward, get in tune with the right mentor to help me get there, and everything else will play itself out when you do that. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense, yep.
Just to kind of talk a little bit about what you just said, Shaun, I know I see it on a daily basis. People are really stuck in their own world. They don't know anything different when they're working a job. They want to impress their boss. They want to impress their colleagues. But what they're losing is that Robert Kiyosaki thing. It's the time. They're losing time. And I am a prime person that's telling you that my kids are 9 and 12, and this is probably the epic time of their life right now with us as parents, me and my wife. And I'm seeing the changes dramatically happen, whether they're getting taller, they're getting more mature, that type of thing. And the thing that really opens a lot of people's eyes when they start to see that is like, do I want to keep doing what I'm doing for the next 20, 30 years and letting that small window of time go by and just only having a little bit of time? Or do I want to put as much work as possible into an entrepreneurial online business of some sort that can, provide fruit for the family later on by putting all this hard work in now? See, a lot of people don't realize is with these kind of businesses, if you have a goal, if you have the right mentors, if you have the right business, and the support and the team and all of these things that go along with having an online business, you're going to be able to provide a quick, success breeds success, right? So a lot of people don't see this success though. So if they don't see the success, they feel that, I don't know, it's not working for me, so I'll just go back to what I was doing. But most of the people that have become successful, and I'm just going to keep saying, in the online industry, because that's what I'm kind of working. Well, that's what I'm working. They've gotten there. And a lot of people don't realize this. They've gotten there only because they've given it 120% of their time. And when they hit some bumps, they kept driving. They didn't stop, pull over. They kept driving. And I see that over and over. I mean, I have people on my team in the past that just don't have that aptitude or ability to continue moving forward, and they have too many obstacles. And that kind of goes back to their mindset. And we talked about that earlier in the show. Not having the right mindset is going to block everything that you see way in front of you. It's kind of like the headlight thing on your car. People put their headlights on at night, but it only goes maybe like 50 feet, and they can't see past that, right?
Right.
You've got to look past that. You've got to have that ability to kind of go, I want to be here. What's it going to take me to be here? And it goes back to a lot of things we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and that's the part of, we can't do this all by ourselves. I say this all the time. We can do anything we put our mind to, but I believe that this is one of the things where that can't word is effectively used. I cannot build an empire by myself. Julia, the same thing. We need to complement each other. I know, I'm learning from my weaknesses. I don't focus on my weaknesses. I focus on my strengths, and together each achieve more. That's the definition of teamwork. Mm-hmm. When we say this all the time, it's like, you know what, guys, you've got to stay close to the fire. You've got to stay close to the fire that people are encouraging you, praising you, and recognizing you, and wanting to help you get to your goals and dreams based on what you've explained with them, that this is the place for you. And I don't care if you're a millionaire or billionaire. Guess what, guys? They still have mentors. They have people that they can reach out to on their cell phones and say, hey, I had a deal that went south. What do I got to do? And yes, it takes some people out mentally. But when you have those people in your circle, you literally, it's like water off a duck's back. As soon as it happens, boom, okay, they're not interested in fighting for their goals and dreams. They leave. They quit the business that they started in. Okay, I love them. I'm there to support them. Next.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Shaun. I mean, a lot of people need to leverage the mentors, leverage the team. I think that a lot of folks just get caught up in the whole can't, and they have to just get that out of their mind. They just really have to get that out of their mind just to kind of move forward. I see a lot of people struggle like that, and I think for me, it's like it takes 21 days to become, for something to become a habit. Because I've been in this kind of mode for many years now, I think nothing else of like, yes, right, for the moment, I'm still supplementing my income, and to a point where I can, have enough income so that I don't need to do this 9-to-5 job anymore. And in order to do that, I need to have the ability to press forward. I need to continuously do what I'm doing and learn from what I'm doing and do it daily. In order to create momentum, you have to completely have a daily thing that you're doing every single day, and don't get lazy. I mean, I know we all have our off times, but I think it's important for people to know that you can only learn so much when you come in this industry, and you have to learn it in chunks. You can't learn it all. You can't, eat the entire elephant, as they say. But I think that all at one time. But I think that people need to at least learn to do something the right way through someone who has done it before. And that really is the best thing I can say. That's what I'm doing. A lot of people are stuck with like, and just kind of like give people a lot of understanding, well, how am I going to do that? Well, listen, I spend about 3 hours a night, 3 to 4 hours max a night after I get home from work. I mean, we have the cell phone now, so a lot of things I can do on my cell phone, which is great. But there's still some things that I need to do in front of my desk. But every single night, I'm scheduling time on what I need to have done so that I can meet a goal. It can be a small goal for the day. Just get to that goal, whether it's like, you contact 10 people on Facebook. There you go. That's 10 people more than you did before. So just continuously keep doing things like that, and you're going to see success. It's going to start coming at you.
We got to get you a virtual assistant, Shaun.
Exactly.
No, that's awesome, man. And I'm gonna revert back to this. Most people are stopping themselves from their successes.
Yeah,
it's all of that little birdie or that little voice on their shoulder saying, "Shaun, are you really going down the right hole? Are you really doing the right things?" This one's going, "Go all out, gotta do or die." And I'm gonna say this: I am obsessed. I don't care about the how or the what. I care about the why. I don't know how everything's going to work out, but I know my why is my laser focus, and that's what I need to do. And you have to have that burning desire in your belly to sell your family and your business partners and people that you're in business with to say, you know what, with or without you, I'm doing this. I'd rather it be with you than without, but I'm all in and I'm going to do this until I die. I'm that obsessed with it. And I don't know about everything else, but I know that my why is that, and you have to get that point in your life to say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm not going to build somebody else's goals and dreams anymore and their legacy. I'm doing it for my family. That's it. That's all. And I believe once you do that, everything will just kind of fall into place. It's that universal attraction marketing thing. It just, boom, people will attract to you and they'll just like, wow, this is awesome.
I'll give you a bit more of my background. I've been an entrepreneur for quite a few years. I started financial services, and I've just kind of went, business to business. And each business I've done, I've been more successful. But it comes to the point where it's like, okay, this isn't what I want to do anymore because it didn't fit with my purpose. And as I've moved forward, my purpose and my why has gotten bigger and clearer. Now, Shaun, I can see that somebody might say to you, but Shaun, you've been working a job for so long and you've been doing something on the side. And, do you really consider yourself a success because you've been doing it for so long? But I know, because of my journey, I know, and the other Shaun too, is that the purpose is there. The why is there. And you're not a failure until you quit, right? It doesn't matter how many things don't work out. I'm not a failure. None of us are a failure. It's that we maybe didn't become successful, right? So I have to admire you for keeping on going because you know where you're going, right? And I think it's really important for people to understand that if the why, the purpose is large enough, the how will come. Even if your path is like this and then it goes off like this for a while and then comes back. I mean, it can be a windy road. It doesn't matter. It's just that you're continuing to move forward to the top of that mountain, whatever that is for you, right? So, I mean, when you were talking and I'm like, okay, he's been doing this for a long time. And my one thing's going, man, he's not successful yet. And then I went, no, it's a why thing. It's a purpose, right? So, I mean, I think that's huge for people to understand that whatever that purpose is, the journey isn't always the same. It can change. It's just like what statistics, I'm having trouble talking today, is that it's, most people are 6 to 7 jobs in their lifetime, at least. And I would say that's probably larger now. The number's higher now, and most people, they say 80 or 85% of people don't like their jobs, something like that.
They hate their jobs. Keyword hate.
Okay, hate. I was being nice. But what I'm getting at is that, the path doesn't have to be a straight line. Because a lot of people think success is like this, and we all know it goes this way and it goes twisty-turny. As long as
not straight. If it was that easy, everybody would be at the top of the mountain.
That's right, exactly. So to be able to stay focused, that's what I'm saying is I'd like you to expand a little bit more on what has kept you focused, because you've done different things. And so kind of expand a little bit more. I mean, I know you want to be home with your family. I know that. But what has been your path to, has your vision and purpose expanded over the years? Because you probably started with the money, right? And what changed for you? I mean, I can guess, but I'm not going to say. I'm just going to let you explain it if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, what starts to happen is, when you see success, let's say you're in a business, and I told you before, I've been in maybe 5 different online businesses in the past. So it's not like I just started one in 2009 and I'm in the same one, because things happen with the companies, things happen. But one thing that you do get out of it is the knowledge that you compile over time, what to do, what not to do,
right,
where to focus. Yes, you're right with that why. I've been embedded now. Now it's at this point where nothing's really going to stop me from the final goal. And no, I didn't become a success in 6 months. And I know people have. But I'm going to attribute that to not being able to put as much effort as I need to put to get to a point higher and higher and higher. I think that it all depends on where you're positioned. It all depends on how much time you have to put into your business. But I will tell you that if the goals are there, and I am providing additional income to my family right now,
mm-hmm.
but I know that I'm getting very much closer to a point where that's going to really expand dramatically, because there's a pivotal point that's starting to happen. I'm gotten some good connections with people. I've gotten some good mentors on where I need to focus, and that really becomes the key, because you're really out here and you really want to get to a point where you're really laser focused on what is it going to get me there. Because a lot of times you're coming into this, you really don't know what you're doing. You're listening to some mentor. Maybe they're not telling you the right things. Maybe they should be, or maybe you're not learning things fast enough. Maybe you're not taking initiative to do more reading and learn for yourself. There's a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned from having teams that everybody kind of goes at it differently. But there's always a few key people, and that's that 80-20 rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they get it, they know what they got to do, and they start to join that path with you. So if you're building a team, they're building it with you, which is helping everybody in the team. So I think that's kind of like the answer I have for you. That's what's kind of keeping me going, is these small successes. It's like kind of putting a carrot right in front of you all the time as you get closer and closer, to that real big success that you're looking at or looking for. So
for myself, I know that my personal development has been a big factor in me going forward, because I know recently both Shaun and I have been working with the gentleman, and we've both identified emotional blockages we've had. And I know for a lot of people it's fear of failure, but also fear of success. What are people going to think, right? And I know you have to get past that to be able to take another leap forward. But I also know that when we clear things out, other things that are supposed to come into our lives will come into our lives, because now we're open to it. Does that make sense? So before, my mind might not have been able to handle some of the programs that I've recently been introduced to, because I didn't see myself taking it that large. Does that make sense? So, I can see that a big piece of that is my own personal development. I mean, some of the books I'm reading right now, I read 3, 4, 5, even 10 years ago, but I'm getting different things out of it now. So, I mean, you can have a stack of books and you've read them all and you think, well, I know all that. Yeah, I've read it. But as you read one book, you change a bit. And then you read another one and you change a little bit more. And then you go back and you read that first one and you get way different things out of it, because we're different again. Our thought process is different. Our values may be changed a little bit or whatever, even our beliefs about ourselves. So, I mean, I think that's a huge part of most people's path to is the personal development, right?
Yeah, the biggest, I'm sorry, I was going to interject.
No, that's cool.
The biggest thing that I've seen is that people are worried about what other people think. And I was I was very introvert growing up. So for me to really get out in front of people was really difficult. I didn't want to do any public speaking. I didn't want to do any of that kind of thing. I've gotten better. I've been up on stage a few times now. But I will tell you, that comes with time. But even on Facebook, how many people want to, they know they have their regular family and friends on Facebook, but they don't necessarily, they don't want to promote their business to everybody. And that's a fear thing that you have, because now you're worried, well, what is my cousin going to think? What is my mother going to think? You never know. It doesn't matter. So I got to a point where it really doesn't matter, because it's really about you. It's not about them. It's about you in the end. So why do you keep putting all this pressure on yourself to make it that difficult, and then just kind of, put the blinders on and go forward?
Amen. And that's why my book is called It's About Them, Not You. Because I, too, was one of those people, Shaun. Before I got introduced to the financial services world, my best friend was a steering wheel and 18 gears in between 2 seats. And 2 mirrors, and look in front, look behind, and I was driving a truck. And a lot of people don't realize I'm going to get somebody to do a video for me on the truck that I used to drive. It was 160 feet long and 170,000 pounds. And when you have 2 53-foot trailers slapped together, you better be paying attention. And they don't just let any Joe Blow drive those trucks. So I may be a little crazy, but if I was that crazy, they wouldn't allow me and give me that license to do that. So you got to be crazy when you're out there to do those things, because you have so many people that are relying on you to be professional and do what you got to do. And the mind, like Julia and you had said, 80,000 thoughts or things going on in your life on a daily basis are negative. If you are not depositing things into your emotional bank account every single day, every hour on the hour, your emotional bank account in here is going to be negative, and you're taking yourself out. And that's why Zig Ziglar and many other mentors say, you drive to work, turn your automobile into an automobile university with positive audiobooks that you listen to on personal development, and you will learn more in 1 year than most students learn in 4 years in any form of post-secondary education. I did that. Before I started doing that, I was like, you know what, enough's enough. I got to do this. I got to get around the right people, because I really am not happy being 55, 60 years old, driving that transport truck, watching these guys who go on marriage number 1, marriage number 2, marriage number 3. They're miserable as you know what, and they're just really hate their lives. I didn't want to be that. So I made that transition and said, hey, you know what? I got to do this for my family. I got to lead my kids in a positive way so I can at least help them understand why I do what I do every single day for a better life for them. Because what kind of a legacy would I leave my kids if I'm still driving a truck and I'm living paycheck to paycheck? I had my aha moment when I was in the financial industry, and one of my clients said to me, Shaun, live life abundantly. We are living paycheck to paycheck. We make almost $250,000 a year combined income between my husband and my wife, and we struggle. We're just broke at a different level. I want something better. I want something better for my grandkids. And that's when I was like, it's true. 98% of the population is on track to retire never. They fight with their spouse about money or their kids at least once a day. And they're on track on this train wreck. And I was like, whoa, I got to do something different. That's why I jumped on personal development, because I probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you guys if I didn't.
One thing Shaun, we were talking, I had a bit of an aha moment, because I'm thinking back to my own journey, and I really didn't get involved in personal development until I got into financial services, because the people that I joined with were actually into that a lot. And I was married before, abusive relationship. So I came to my current relationship with a lot of baggage, I have to say. And I noticed once I started working on myself for the sake of my business, my marriage got better. All of my relationships got better. You know, so that was sort of, and I don't talk about that too much, but I see how much difference that personal development did for me and made such a difference. And I honestly have thought many times that because of the baggage I came with from my first marriage and from my childhood, I mean, nobody's childhood is perfect, right? My parents did the best job they could, but I had my own perception. So the stuff I've worked on made this marriage, and I've been married 32 years now. And so I know that I've cleared up a lot of the baggage I had. And I know that has really opened me up for the levels of success that I've already experienced in my life. So, but it's also helped with every other relationship I have, right? So it's just, so I honestly think with the high divorce rates we see, I think that if people get that personal development can make a huge difference in every relationships they have, especially the primaries like their spouse, their partner, and their children, their parents, I think, and even siblings, right? I think people might be a little more open to hearing different things, right? So I don't know, that's my aha moment. So I appreciate you, Shaun, for mentioning that first, because obviously it needed to come out today. Otherwise I wouldn't have thought of it, right?
Yeah, no worries. Shaun, is there anything else that you'd like to close off on?
Well, I mean, I think you got a good background of some of the things that I've been dealing with, some of the things that I think that a lot of people, not just myself, deal with on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But I think what it comes down to in the end is the things that you learn, just utilize the things that you learn and change the way you think, because it's the way you think that is stopping you from moving forward. I think the first book I ever read was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and I highly recommend it. I mean, it's the book that changes a lot of people's minds, and they start to feel and start to understand that if they got to do something different, they got to do it now, and they've got to change the way they think about doing it now. So that's really, a lot of the basis that I've been kind of growing with in my businesses as I move forward is to have that understanding that it's not just this business isn't a one and done type of thing. It's very much a growing and a journey of the whole way through.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Shaun. I'm going to end on this. People are willing to give their lives to their bosses and sacrifices to go to work. Why not we reverse those roles and play life full out for your family in your business to buy back your life once and for all, so that you call the shots, not somebody else. And we're literally going to move you from the passenger seat of your life to the driver's seat of your life with whatever opportunity you're in. You have access to doing that. All you have to do is get straight here. There's no room for stinking thinking. There's no room for rent and a positive mind, all those things. Once you do that, guys and gals, everybody out there watching this, it's going to change your life. I promise you that. So the business that you're in, play full out in that. And I'm not saying don't do what you got to do at your job. That's not what I'm saying. But change the focus on this is do or die in your business for your legacy. And I promise you it's going to change your life. So thank you, guys. This Success to the Dynamic Duo edition is awesome. Thank you, Shaun, for sharing your time with us. Thank you, Julia. I look forward to seeing you guys. Don't be scared to reach out to us. We are real people. We truly care about helping you.
Mhm.
We want to help take your life and your business to a whole new level. We'll see you on the next Success with Dynamic Duo episode. Take care, guys. Have a blessed weekend. We will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.